on that note, let's go ahead and intro this podcast. I think we are in great spirits, as you can already see. Welcome to the next installment of Blassic, the podcast where we, we review black classics in film and television. It is me, your host, Louis B., and...
It's your boy, K-Rock. What up, fellas? How you doing, ladies?
We are back for another one yet again. On this installment of Blassic, we want to do one. I mean, of course, you heard the song. Let's just... Fresh Prince of Bel-Air!
Ah.
If you didn't already guess that.
But by the people on the... Look at this.
Yeah, hey man, Kev brought in some good little trinkets. He has the entire series on DVD.
Don't fuck around. When I said my fan,
y'all see
I don't fuck around.
DVDs? This is crazy. This is not a stream.
No.
This is a physical copy.
When the internet goes out, you go to this. When the wind blows too hard, you go to this.
Hey, yo. Oh my God, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We all know what this movie is and was for the culture. Oh my God. So much to just take away from this, and even so much going forward. We'll get into it at the very end, because this is a show that is looking to leave a legacy. I mean, it's literally it's a show that since it came out, it's been on syndication ever since. Like, there are a lot of shows, and I'm only 27 years old, people, but there are a lot of shows that I notice in the syndication market that come in, that go, and you may never see them again for another 10 years or another 5 years, just the way that the market works for television like that. But one show that stays on, and it stays on multiple channels, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That and Martin. Wow, like, those are the only two shows. Of course, they're not the only two, because there's a lot of other shows that do that, but... We gonna focus on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, and you're 100% right, because now that I think about it, I remember, like, one of my earliest memories of the show is it used to be on TBS. My dad used to always watch it, and I would see it, and it was on TBS. I didn't watch it when it was on NBC or whatnot. I remember seeing it in syndication on TBS.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I remember when I first got really hip to it, as a kid, you just find stuff on accident. Like you said, I wasn't looking at it when it came out, even though when it came out, the nigga was 5 years deep into it. They was about to close it out.
It was already ended when I got into it. I guess it had already ended by the time I got to it.
It's crazy. I literally remember, and this is probably like '05. This is late in the game. This is when it started syndicating on, what did they want to call it at the time? Nick at Night? Yeah. Nickelodeon After Dark, like 11 o'clock. They would play it for like 11 and 11:30. That's when, on accident, like before I would go to sleep, I would just watch it. And then, they play it in chronological order, 2 episodes every night. So, by some time I ended up watching the whole series.
See, it was TBS for me.
Yeah.
That's how.
Hey, wow. Man, and this is a show that has spanned across different networks, like I said earlier. It's a lot of shows that don't do that, man. A lot of these content hubs, they keep their stuff to themselves, so... It just shows you what's going on with Fresh Prince. You want to go ahead and get us started?
Yeah, so we intro the show again, like we said. It's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yes, sir.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is an American television sitcom, as we all know, created by Andy and Susan Borowitz, based loosely on Benny Medina's life. Who is Benny Medina?
Yeah.
Do you know who Benny Medina is? Oh.
From what it looked like, it said he's a record producer. So, record producer, talent manager, television producer. So, this is based on his life. So, how did they do this? Because it's Will's background. So they're just taking Benny's story?
No, not necessarily. So the show itself, is in the 1990s, basically, music producer Benny Medina, along with his business partner and real estate mogul Jeff Pollock, decided to market a TV show based on Medina's life. Medina had grew up in East Los Angeles, but his life changed when he befriended a white rich teenager and his family, and they lived in Beverly Hills. But what they decided to do was, hey, let's switch the show and make it a black kid growing up with a very well-to-do black family. I can get mileage out of that. Yeah. Will Smith came later down the line, so the show is not necessarily based on Will Smith.
They said we don't want
by no means is it based on Will Smith.
They said we don't want to do different strokes too.
No. So exactly. So
listen, man, this show started a long time ago, 1990. Right. I was not conceived yet. I was 5 years. This is 5 years prior to my life. This show came out and it just swept the nation. It's funny because Will wasn't even trying to do this show originally.
No. So Medina, a quote that gravitated towards said, that way, this is the reason why he switched it to what his life was into what we see in the show. Yeah. We did it because that way we could explore black on black prejudice as well as black class differences. So it's not necessarily because of course we know Will Smith is from Philadelphia. Right. He'd never been into Los Angeles after he made it into his career. So Medina pitched the idea to Quincy Jones, who had just signed a TV deal. Quincy Jones, of course, the music producer with Time Warner. Once that happened, Jones was impressed by the idea and arranged a meeting with NBC chief Brandon Tartikoff, who runs NBC and stuff like that. So Will Smith was getting hot at that time, hit records and stuff like that. Of course, he ran into a road bump where he owed the IRS a lot of fucking money at one point. A lot of fucking money.
I hate them niggas.
Well, again, he was 19 years old, famous 19 years old. And he was actually...
IRS problems at 19? Go ahead.
Right. I mean, but again, it's easy for us to say now because you know what to do now. But at that time, that's like we always say with like record deals, and not saying he had a bad record deal, but he was just spending money. Yeah. So anyway, he was just a regular nigga. So I guess they saw Will Smith and his music videos. They said they liked his energy. They asked him, has he ever acted before? They was like, no. No. But anyway, so he was invited to a Quincy Jones party. And basically they was asked, they was like, hey, we got this idea for a TV show. And Will Smith has said this story several times. He was like, look, everybody that's in here right now has the power to say yes to this television show is here. So if you want to audition for this show, and they gave him a script for an old TV show. It wasn't even Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It was actually a pilot pitch for what's Buddy's name? Morris Day.
Wow.
It was when they were getting shows to random people back, not random because I guess he was hot at that time. Oh, so anyway, they just wanted to see if he could act.
Interesting.
So he was like, listen. Will was like, man, I don't know. Give me a few weeks, give me a month, and I can double back. He said, okay, cool. But everybody that can say yes to the show is out there now. So yeah, we can give you a week, but then maybe they're gone next week. We can give you a month, but maybe they can't do it that month. So do you want to do this shit? And Will was like, yeah, let's give him 5 minutes. And then he came back, and then they literally greenlit the shit that day, and he signed a contract that day. And by like a week, they were filming.
Changed his life.
Right, sometimes you gotta jump at it and say, fuck it.
Literally, I don't know if we really recognize this is the start of his acting career, correct? This is...
At that point, he maybe had like a small role on something, but it was nothing big at that time. Think
about the Will Smith y'all see today. Like, I'm just thinking about... I look at Fresh Prince as like his crash course in trying to figure out everything in acting, because in that show... In those episodes, they dug on so many different topics. Of course, shit, going 6 damn years, you can tap on anything. And then it's growing as a person. Then once you start to get those opportunities, I just see so much growth episode to episode as he tries to go through like comedic timing, and as he tries to go through seriousness and real emotional acting. Like, he really went to Fresh Prince to get his chops. Like, everything that you see from Will Smith today is a result of those reps put in on that show. And right. I think that shit is so
For
dope.
A show that's essentially based around you're the first on the call list. Yeah. And you're, as far as talent's concerned, or as far as on the books, you are the least experienced. You're the very last. And so a lot of times, even Will has said it himself, he said sometimes if you look at the earliest episodes, and I've seen,
oh my God,
he has learned everybody's lines, and he's literally mouthing the lines as it goes.
A master.
And you sometimes, and I remember Karen Parsons, and we're gonna get into the cast. She literally like freaked out one time because she literally saw him mouthing the words, and that knocked her off. She was like, this nigga is mouthing the words. Like, this is going to knock me off my game. And man, and that's just crazy. Like you said, like, you see him progress on that.
So this show came out. Was it a huge success upon its release?
I think it was doing quite well. I think it was pretty much doing good. But there was a point in the third season where the show was literally getting ready to be axed, but the people, like the fans, was like, no, fuck that. Yeah. And we got more episodes. We got more seasons.
And let's be real, shit, in the 90s, y'all think TV is good now. In the 90s, you're competing with some heavy hitter type shows. I think, shit, A Different World is probably on top of his game. Cosby Show is on top of his game. Like, you're, and then not only that, you're dealing with the other white shows that's out there as well. Like, hey, competition was really fierce for sitcom television back then. So,
Right.
Man.
And then another thing is, it's at that time it was rare for a rapper to be a star on a television show.
That's a fact.
Now we see it everywhere, and it is what it is at this point.
They seek out these niggas.
Right. Rightfully. I mean, I see why, but at that point it was like nothing about this says it's going to be successful.
Right.
Definitely. And a lot of other things that I see that I think is very interesting is Alfonzo Ribeiro, who plays Carlton. He almost didn't make it past the first episode. He was initially cast in the pilot, but the president of NBC at the time asked that Carlton be recast after seeing the episode. They don't really say why he changed his mind or the reason why, but it is what it is. That's how you know sometimes motherfuckers just don't know what the fuck they talking about. They just don't.
So let's go ahead and get into some of the cast, man. Go ahead.
Okay,
I know it's a laundry list of them.
Oh, yes, a laundry list. Of course, we're just going to stay with the main cast. We got James Avery, a classically trained stage actor as Uncle Phil. You also might know him as the voice of Shredder in the Ninja Turtles in the late 90s. We got Janet Hubert Whitten. She was a classically trained actor, dancer. Just great. She was the Aunt Viv for the first 3 seasons.
The original.
Right. OG, they like to call him. Alfonso Ribeiro. He may have the longest career. He was on a TV show called Silver Spoons. He was in commercials and shit like that.
America's Funniest Videos now.
Right now. That brother has been working and has constantly worked. In the House, great guy. Karen Parsons, actress, model, you know. She has a long, Tatiana Ali. She was young. She was the youngest. She was singing afterwards. We got Daphne Maxwell Reed. She played Aunt Viv for like the last 3 seasons. Great actress. She was I will get to that too. She's a great actress. Yeah. She's actually married to Tim Reed from Sister. Been married. Jeffrey Townsend, aka DJ Jazzy Jeff. He was very reluctant to join the cast, but when he got there, he's a classic staple on the show as well. And we also, last but not least, we have Ross Vagley. He was the youngest member that was introduced in the 4th or the 5th season. Little Nicky.
Oh, Little Nicky.
Right. We also got that brother. You also might know him as what's his name from the Little Rascals. God damn.
They say I look like him. Yeah, Buckwheat.
Buckwheat from the Little Rascals, man. And I mean, man, we got many.
A star-studded cast that honestly, you see their careers now, and you like I said earlier about Will, it's just a direct result of that. Like, these people are still working hard. Rest in peace, James Avery. I would love to see what he would be doing now. I know he was chilling beforehand, but I would love to see just if he would have done anything.
He probably be writing. He probably be. I mean, the one thing about acting, especially for men in general, you can play the granddaddy, you can play the dad, you can be constantly doing it. And I can't speak for women, but for men, you can constantly be doing something because you're always at an age where you could play something. Right. So I have no doubt there's several things he did after the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that we could go into, but yeah.
So we already know the story for Fresh Prince, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The big fight on the basketball court. Shit gets crazy, you know what I'm saying? Mama say, hey, we got to move you to the rich folks. We got to move you to your aunt and your uncle. They going to give you a better lifestyle. We already know the situation. He goes to live with them, and throughout the course of 6 years, he just goes through shit out there in L.A. versus in West Philly. Right. So, honestly, man, it's a show that really we don't relate to, but it's just so interesting that how they pick it apart. Like I said, from a bird's eye view, we don't really connect with this story. But as soon as you connect with those characters.
You connect with Will, and then you you don't, certain circumstances, you connect with Will, and then you can kind of connect with the Banks based on.
They really just niggas with money. Once you figure that out, they're just niggas with money.
right. And it further details that later on down the line, which we'll talk about the reboot or whatnot.
Yeah.
But like I say, the cast is so great, and what I like the most about, I love the behind the scenes shit. Like there's a lot of shit when I was researching it was like Hillary. Hillary, the actress that plays Hillary, Karen Parsons. They said there was stories, and she said herself when the first season of the show started, she kept her waiter job. She was a waitress because she was like, I don't know if this is going to work out. I know who Will Smith is. He's a rapper. I don't know if this is going to work. So that cast literally went up to her job as a waitress while she was filming and would tease her. Like I said, Carlson almost lost his job. He didn't think he was going to get the job.
Wow.
Tatiana Ali, the way she got her job, she was rapping and stuff like that. She had to rap and she couldn't rap, so her being goofy got her the job. And Daphne Reed, the second Aunt Viv, the one thing I find most interesting that most people don't know is, it was a big kind of back and forth, and we'll get into that a little bit later, between Will Smith and the original Aunt Viv. But Daphne Maxwell Reed was actually off of the role before she even got there. She looked at the script and was like, the main character a rapper? Or the main actor a rapper? I'm pass on this. Yeah. So she actually saw that script even before.
Wow.
So that's one thing I feel like we got to kind of point out.
Yeah, we might as well get into it because I mean we can tap on it real quick. Shit, we already see that a change was made with the Aunt Vivs, and that was a big deal. I think it's really cool that you just see life evolve and people grow and people mature, and it's a beautiful thing to see. Like there was so much going on when the original Aunt Viv left. So much shit going on, and then we finally really got to break it down years later, decades later, in the reunion special, and it was really just Will just being big-headed. It was a lot of things.
He's being 19, man.
Big-headed.
He's being 19. He's being a kid. He's being
19.
Here it goes.
But see, this years old.
This is why I say it's not being big-headed. This is why This is why I say it's not being big-headed, right? Because it's him being a kid. Because if it was him being big-headed, he would have that attitude towards everybody. It was an individual person. So she's dealing with what she has to deal with. She's seeing this young kid, and she's probably kind of like acting a certain way to him, and he wants everybody to like him. He wants Uncle Phil to like him. He wants her to like him, and she's not reacting to him. So now he's being a kid and being like, "Oh, fuck you now." So I don't feel like.
But even when the shit with the pregnancy happened, it's like, fam, like, can we have a little understanding for what she's going through? Like women.
But again,
we could really put this shit on hold.
How can you expect a 19-year-old to act a certain way if he doesn't know? And all he's reacting to is, for some reason, this lady does not or seems not to like me. So. It's not her fault. It's not his fault.
Well, y'all hear it from us right now, my 19-year-olds. Hey, if you got money, learn how to communicate with your bosses. Learn how to communicate with people you work with. It's important. It's vital.
And then we also have to say this now. We also got to say this. The 19-year-old in question is the star of the show. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So we kind of get it. But what I do like to say again, fast forward decades later, now he's a 50-year-old man, and now he can sit down and talk about it. Now he has some lessons under his belt. There was situations where he was dragged through the mud for not knowing certain situations, and it's just Janet Hubert kind of, rightfully so, she has situations going on. She was a single mother. She was abused. She got on the internet, talked shit about him, but again, us as a people, we were able to come together and get that, past us.
Yeah. They're good now, guys.
Right. But what I do want to comment on, everybody says like, oh, the first Aunt Viv is my favorite, and this and that and this and that. But what I do want to say, as an actor, I do feel like each Aunt Viv had their own thing, and you can't really blame Miss Reed for portraying the character the way she portrayed it, right? Because you could write something on paper and the character could be portrayed one way. Like, I could write something for you and you can portray it one way, and then I can portray that same character, but it wouldn't be authentic if I portrayed it the same way. Like, they might be like, so you have to take it and do certain things with it. So people say, this is my favorite one. It's like I really feel like both should get credit, and
well, shit, they do. Their bank account's good. Them residuals ain't looking too bad.
No, by no means. And what I also thought that the internet kind of dragged on was like they tried to attack it as if it was like a back and forth between the two. They had never met each other until that show, to the reunion show. It's like they're getting a job. Like, why? It's like if I got fired at a job, do I need to know the motherfucker that had my job before? No, it's just a job.
Yeah, but we ain't gonna stay on that too long.
No, but
we gonna what was some of your favorite episodes, man? Because there's definitely shit. There's 6 years.
There's too many
episodes to go from.
It's so good, and there's so many fucking episodes, so many reruns. I can't point out a particular episode, but one that stick out in mind is one of my favorite ones is for some reason Will was in a gym and he saw a little honey dip that he wanted. And she was like a boxer. You remember that episode? And so like, Shorty beat the fuck out of him like the first go around. You remember that episode?
Not, it's vaguely.
Oh
vaguely.
My God! Listen, I hope you played a clip of this shit. But yeah, he went in there. She beat the fuck out of him because he was trying to holler. She beat the fuck. He came back to holler again, and every punch that she threw, he blocked it, and she was like, motherfucker, take me right now. That's something I'll never forget. I absolutely love it. But it's several episodes, man. Just so many episodes. But what about you, man?
I'm gonna just go with the shit that everybody is gonna go with. I have to play it. Like the scene, the one where his dad actually came and saw him. I have to, man, because it's a, like I said, it's a storyline from the outside looking in that we just say, how can I relate to this? And then when you actually break down these characters and break down storylines, Will he had an ain't shit dad. Very wish-washy. Come into his life randomly. Now that you're in LA, living good. Come see him, check on him. Then don't honor his word. You know what I'm saying? Still wish-washy. Don't come to see him after you say you're going to pick him up and shit like that. And he has that scene with Uncle Phil that was really one of those pivotal scenes in that show as a whole. And like I said, going back to just Will being the great actor that he is today, look at that scene and tell me he didn't prepare for that shit. There was a time where I think James Avery literally said in that scene, he was trying to get that emotion out of him so much to the point that when he finally gave it to him, they was really crying. He pushed him in. When he was hugging him, he was like, good shit. That's that shit.
Right.
That's that shit.
Yeah, because the story goes like when they were filming this scene, Will had got so frustrated. So while they were shooting, he kind of fucked up several times. And he was like, he kind of expressed it like, fuck, I fucked up. And he was like, don't do that. Just keep it going. Keep staying in character. Keep going. And when he did it, he kind of, when you see it, kind of lean in and give him a hug. He was like, that's fucking acting. And yeah, that's what it was. He was trying to act. That is what it was.
Yeah, man. Outside of that, it was a show that just did so many great things. Like you get to see him grow up. So they went from like high school and they managed to go into the college roles decent. One thing about the show is they never sacrificed their integrity to make a good show. A lot of times, the longer a show runs, hate to say, sometimes the worse a show can get, to the point where it's like we're waiting for this to end. But it was one of those things where even when you see Will, literally, he has his Bad Boys hairstyle in some of these scenes. He has whatever movie he's working on. He has a Men in Black. No, That came in
No,
97. Not yet.
I think towards the end of
I definitely know, like, he had his damn Bad Boys 1 haircut in some of them scenes. So
right.
just to see that this man is going so hard in both areas and not sacrificing the integrity on Fresh Prince, the shit that started all of these opportunities, to me, that's just some of the dopest things about this show.
It was Will that requested the show end at a certain point. Because he was literally
so
going
important.
in. He was filming, and Independence Day had came out in the process of filming The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I think that rolled straight into Bad Boys, and maybe towards the tail end, that's when it led into Men in Black. So I think he literally transitioned from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to Men in Black at that point.
Yeah.
But he was the one that was able to say, hey, look, we got 6 years out of it. I want to go do this, and 6 years has been good, and we're going to go ahead and go on about it.
I love it, man. A lot of y'all shows need to know when the end, man. The ending is such a crucial point, and it's so important. Move on and do different things. I love when shows be like, yo, this is it. We did all we could do, and now we going to let everybody else go and get their opportunities. These folks that was behind the scenes, now they want to run their own shows, and everything can just happen, and everything can blossom. Everybody don't have to be in the same box. You do this job for how long you going to do it, and when it's time to move on, you move on, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Do you have any like favorite guest stars on the show? From the show?
I enjoyed Tyra Banks on there. I love Nia Long on there.
Tyra Banks. Yeah.
Nia Long was great on there, and I love that she stayed on the show for a good while.
And yeah, it's wild because that's actually how he met Jada Pinkett Smith. She probably auditioned for that particular particular character, and that's how they met Jada Pinkett at that time. Yeah, man. Some of my favorite guest stars was Queen Latifah. That was actually Queen Latifah's first. That was her first acting role, which she got from Will Smith. So that was great. John Witherspoon played Lisa's father.
God,
fucking great. John Witherspoon. Sherman Hemsley, George Jefferson. He was only like 2 times. Played
Take
2
a real
characters.
bite out of crime.
Right.
Played
like 2 different characters. We had Donald Trump for some reason at that point.
Nah, don't say that. Niggas was fucking with Donald Trump in the 90s and the early 2000s. And black people not gonna admit that. Y'all used to love Trump.
But you know what? Like I said, Daphne Maxwell Reid, that she recently said in the interview that even at that point, she really didn't fuck. Like she did not like the idea that he was actually there. She was like, I do not like this guy.
Wow.
But he's here, man. That's part of being the job.
Yeah.
We say, Don Cheadle, Oprah, Dwayne Martin showed up on an episode. So many guest stars that we can go down the line.
Yeah.
Just a great show.
I really want to get into this reboot because, I mean, shit, Will is laying the blueprint. If you haven't already realized, like, to take a show that was already created and recreate it, reimagine it into something that's way